The following is a special presentation of Extreme eSpeed TV, your new home for everything iRacing and eSpeed.
Welcome to the third annual Mike Westbrook Knoxville Nationals for the Steve King Foundation. In honor of Mike, we've converted the iRacing pace truck to honor Mike and his infamous blue pickup truck. We would like to thank the many generous sponsors who have made this great event possible. Thank you.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Coast2Coast Racing League's Mike Westbrook Memorial Knoxville Nationals, presented by the Steve King Foundation. You are watching the Coast2Coast Racing League Network, and I am Travis Piercefield, joined as usual by my partner in crime, John Hine. John, you were out last night during qualifying night number 1, so you're going to bring a lot of knowledge to tonight, but we're back here for qualifying night number 2. What did you learn last night that you think will transpire here tonight at Knoxville?
Last night was a lot of fun. The track changed a heck of a lot between the heat races and the features. So, these guys are going to be, presented with an ongoing challenge. They're going to go out there and get their qualifying lap in. And unlike normal, we've got a special format here. Though the qualifying pays a heck of a lot of points. You can really get ahead in the game here. 200 points to whoever can get the quick time. So a lot on the line during qualifying. Then you come back in the heat races and well, there's more points on the line, another 100 points, I believe. So a lot of a lot on the line for those, and come back for the feature for another 200. So, these guys are going to have to be on it from the get-go. They're going to have to put their best foot forward every time they hit the track. There's going to be so much on the line for these guys every time they're on that track.
So talking about the points, there's points even for the C and B main needed tonight, but making that A main will really open up the door to a lot of points for you. Looking at it, if you are the 5th place finisher in the C main, you're only walking away with 92 points. If you only finish 5th and don't transfer out of the B main, you're limited to 142 points. Being able to get into that A main will really add to your point total as you get through qualifying night.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't want to have to be in the alphabet soup come Thursday night. There's also the hard knocks that will be taking place, I do believe, tomorrow. Um, so yeah, you want to be able to punch your ticket into that main race Thursday night right here tonight and not leave anything to chance. So you're going to have to be probably, running I would have to say maybe the top 10, maybe top 15 qualifying. You want to make sure you're in the top maybe one or two, maybe even three in the heats. And then when the feature comes around, you most definitely need to back all that up and try to, get a good solid, maybe, top five run, maybe a top 10 run to get you in the main show without having to worry about all these other races.
Speaking of qualifying, which will kick off our night tonight, going to be a little bit different tonight than normal for the Coast to Coast Racing League. It's going to be individual qualifying laps, so you'll get to see all your favorite drivers out there one at a time making time. And as you mentioned, trying to get those points out of qualifying that are sitting out there and available and setting themselves up best for those heat races. Last night, racing through last night, John, was there any areas you felt maybe you left some out on the table, or could have picked up some more points throughout the night?
Yeah, in qualifying, I just needed to get the gearing right. So I mean, everything here is going to matter. If you're geared a little bit wrong, that could be, for me. It was probably about a half a tenth, which dropped me back to think about P12 in qualifying there. So everything is going to have to line up here tonight perfectly for them.
So we are getting ready to make some qualifying runs here at Knoxville. You can see the 11 of Travis Snyder. We'll get them up and running and through to get us going here in qualifying night number 2. John and I will be back again tomorrow night for night number 3 of the Knoxville Nationals. We'll kick off the night at 7 p.m. Eastern with our veterans only race. We'll have the pole shuffle, and then we'll have our Hard Knocks event to round out the evening and get everything set up for Thursday's night's Knoxville National Final event.
Yeah, that pole shuffle is going to be worth tuning into. That's going to be something completely different. It's almost like grudge match racing to see who gets the pulls. So you definitely going to want to tune in for that. And I got my fingers crossed. I don't know that I'll make that, but I'm going to be really, really close to probably making that pole shuffle deal.
And we have one car that's made his way out. It was the 56 of Randy Shreves from Springfield, Illinois, LGR Motorsports, ABR Setup Shop, Redline Race Designs, and KSB Builders. Now out on the track is that number 11 of Travis Snyder. Travis Snyder's from Lincoln, Nebraska, Redbird Motorsports, Guggen Squad, Side Bite Motorsports, number 11.
And looking at the track conditions, these guys have a little better track conditions than what we had last night. I expect the times to be a lot quicker. Last night's pole, I believe, was about a 40, high 40s. Don't be a bit surprised here. The first lap is a 68, but looking at the track right now, I'm going to bet there might be a 3 and maybe even a high 2 come out of this track.
So Travis Snyder will complete his second run. You can see him just off the pace of Shreves his first lap. Second lap slightly better, a 15.51. So that will end up second on the charts thus far. As we wait for the next qualifier to hit the track. Beautiful night for some racing at Knoxville. Knoxville, Iowa, of course. Not to be confused with the Knoxville in eastern Tennessee.
That was John Rayner, the next one out. Looks like he's already got a lap time in.
So he's in the 302 machine. John Reiner's from Brantford, Ontario. Salty Dogs Racing Team. Malcolm Mills Mill Rating. Cool Ray Heating and Cooling. Langston Mechanical. His first time was a 15.90. As he will complete his lap.
Next car should be on the track already.
as you see. And that is the 513 of Jeff Barker. He's from Bruton, New York. Kart Racing, Malcolm Mills, Can-Am Racing Team, C2RCL.com. And his first time's a 15.55. Good enough for third fastest.
And Jeff has been mopping up, I believe, in the retreads here. I think I've seen his name get some victories here earlier this season. The next lap is 15:58, and good to see him up there. That's about the lap time I ran last night with that car, and I will say he has got a gambler setup in that car there. So I expect big things out of Jeff here tonight.
Next up out on the track is the number 76 of Mark Gilbert. He's from Pennsylvania. Double H Boots, Fin Sales and Service.
Yeah, Mark is not somebody that's normally with us, so it's good to see some of these new guys out, with us here. So very good to see him out, and the track continues to come in here, and it looks like he's gonna get his first lap in. See what he brings home here. There it is, a 16:24 here. He's the slowest yet, but he's got another lap here that he can get this thing. Right now, looking at the track conditions, Travis, you want to be right down on that berm, and you can see Mark is a good about laying up there, so that's costing him time here in these Q laps.
And his second time will be a 16.16, so he will stay fifth fastest of the 5 cars out there so far. Now out on the tracks, the 129 machine. It's Jason Ferguson from Texas. As he looks to make his first lap around Knoxville Raceway.
Yeah, and you can see Jason's much closer to that berm there as he goes through 3 and 4 here and comes to get his first lap in there, and that's a 15:66 for his first time around. That is going to slot him into P4. See if he can get a little more out of it here the second lap. $15.88 cannot improve his time. He'll stay P4. Good run there for Jason Ferguson.
And we'll wait for the next guy to head out to make his lap. As we see the 704 of Tyler DeZube on pit road waiting to make his run.
Looks like Joe Halter is the one out on the track there, the number 22.
So the number 22 of Joe Halter from California, Hammerdown Racing, the Dirt Track Bank, Got Your 6 Racing Network. His first lap of 15.80, good enough for fifth fastest.
Really consistent. The second lap was a 15:80. So, yeah, nice lap there. That's about as consistent as you can get there for Joe.
And now out on the tracks, that 704 of Tyler DeZube. He comes from Cary, North Carolina, at Copper and Lily on his car, along with it looks like Mountain Dew on the side of that.
Yeah, and he's a real tough newcomer here to C2C. We've seen him have some success here. I know that I've seen him get up into the Renegades races, I think, once or twice here this season, if not more. So we expect good things from him here tonight. First lap is going to be a 15:71. That's going to put him in about fifth place here for currently of all the cars timed in here. And he's a little bit higher than what I think he needs to be here. And we'll see what his second lap will come in to be. He improves his time. It's a 15:68. But that'll still keep him fifth in the line there, right behind Jason Ferguson.
Now heading out onto the track is the 747 of Roger Craig. Roger's from Brantford, Ontario, Canada. Salty Dogs Racing Team, Malcolm Mills Mill Riding, Langton Mechanical, Westbrook Farms. And you can see he has our event looking car on there with Mike Westbrook on top of the wing there.
It's a nice looking car here, and as Roger comes out of turn 4 here, again, I'm watching these guys go up the track. I do see a little bit of a slick line getting in the corners here. These guys are gonna have to be careful. His first lap is a 15:99. That's gonna put him a little ways down the list here, and he slides out here. That's just scrubs a lot of speed here, but he's gonna turn in his next lap and does not improve with a 16:10.
So you're talking about wanting to be on the low inside line here during qualifying as we head out with the number 43. It's Nick King. Nick coming here from Scottsboro, Indiana, Warrior Racing, Speed Ranch E setups, Warrior wraps, Warrior photos. So back to my point, John, you were talking about staying as low as you can in qualifying. How will the track conditions change through the night tonight?
Yeah, well, the slick will be in there and force everybody to move up a little bit here. And I'm looking at the tracks. Even gone a little bit here since even qualifying. Right where their guys are turning in, if they got to be just a little bit below it right now to really take advantage of able to crank that wheel. But Nick's first lap is a 16:05 here. He's going to run the cushion. It looks like the second lap, stay above the slick all the way around. We'll see what kind of time that will bring him in here. But yeah, it's just going to be constantly changing. I mean, in the feature last night, Nick's second lap is a 15:83. I was moving that wing probably 3 and 4 times during the feature, about every 4 to 5 to 6 laps. So I mean, I was constantly working my tools and having to adjust what I did.
Now heading out on the tracks, the 014 of G.J. Boydell from Ontario, Canada. He is an independent race team and one of our Coast to Coast Racing League regulars as he will start his first lap around Knoxville.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Greg has more C2C starts than anybody here. We call him the Iron Man here, and good racer, and we'll see what he can come in here. What kind of lap time he can lay down his first lap. Looks to be a 15:83 here on his first lap. We'll see what he can get for the second lap. But now we're starting to see the guys move up and try to utilize that cushion a little bit. Oh, Greg shuts it down.
So he'll take the one lap and be done. So now heading out on the track is the 911 of Jason Sams. He's from Malcolm, Illinois. John, when you're at an event like this that's multiple nights, has multiple aspects to it, do you change your driving style at all, or are you just trying to make the best lap, and then once you get into a heat race, a main event, you're just trying to get to the front and win?
You try to do everything the same because that's just what you do as a driver. But I mean, even like last night, my goal was to be play it safe when I had to, be smart, see if we can't put the car in the show. I mean, that's got to be the first goal. And however you go about doing that, if your plan is if you're a really good qualifier, then you want to make sure that you try to get everything you can in your Q lap. As we see Jason Sams do a 15:89 on his first lap, if you're better in the heat, a little bit of wear into the track, then that's where you got to try to shine. And those of us that really like it when it gets slicked up, then the features our time, and we need to do our best there and try to get the most points we can. Another 15:89, pretty consistent laps there for Jason Sams.
And after 12 cars, Randy Shreves continues to be atop the charts here on qualifying night number 2 at Knoxville National. It's the Mike Westbrook Knoxville Nationals presented by the Steve King Foundation. As we watch, the next car out is the number 1, another regular of Joe Canellis. Joe comes from Bristow, Virginia, Bubbling Springs Racing. We Let the Dogs Out for You, World of Sports podcast. His first time is a 15.70.
Yeah, and the track is not gonna. I don't think you're gonna see that 17 or the 15.2s out there, but that track is kind of wearing in here pretty quick. His second lap looks to be a 15:70. Once again, really consistent laps by Joe here.
So we've got 13 down here on qualifying night number 2. Next up out on the track is the number 24 machine of Josh Whiteman. Josh from Olean, New York, American Dirt Motorsports. Josh Whiteman Music, American Dirt Motorsports. Nice looking machine there as he makes his way around for his first time lap.
Yeah, taking a wide angle coming out of the corner, trying to make this front straightaway as long as what he can to see if he can get more speed down into turn one. First lap is a 1580. Not a bad first lap here, and he's the first one we've seen in a while start to creep back down towards that berm down there. That's about the line that I used last night, and he does improve his time, picks up almost a tenth with a 1570.
Wait, you can see the 35 of Adam Ross sitting on pit road waiting to make his time.
It looks like he's starting to roll out on the track right now.
So next up will be the 35 of Adam Ross. He's from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. Burger Barn, Petro Plus Travel Stop, Kingpin Farms on the side of that number 35 sprint car.
Yeah, and Connor's a real life racer too. He's had some pretty good runs. I've seen him up there in the top 5 in some of the races up there in Canada that he does. And Connor has a gambler built car, I guess you could say. He's got one of my setups in here, so hopefully that helps him out here pretty well this afternoon. And he turns his first lap of 1590. See what he can do the second lap here. Proves greatly. There's 15.79. I think he's probably going to be a little disappointed with that, but he'll go to work here in the heat. And Connor's one of those guys that can race really well there, but he brings it home 8th with that 15.79.
Now out on the tracks, the number 88 sprint car of Dan McLaren from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Spartan Racing, Weldstar Custom Fabrication, Spartan Racing VMR Wraps. As he comes down, he will take the green flag for qualifying lap number 1.
Yeah, and Dan's one of those jack of all trades here in C2C. He's really, really good on the pavement stuff, the NASCAR stuff, but he's also an accomplished guy that runs dirt here. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of times he puts in. His first lap is good enough for 14th at a 15.95. Right now, it's just critical about reading that track and getting that car perfect and to get those times. Next one is going to be a 15.92. It's going to keep him there in 14th, and yeah, I'm sure Dan probably would want a little bit more out of that one also, but good run for him.
Next up and out on the track is the number 10 of Ross Carenta. He's from Minnesota, Phantom Motorsports, Velocity Race Design, Power Outdoors, Weckel Sportswear.
Yeah, and Ross has won some Renegades races, so this is one of our top-tier guys here in the league. Always fast every time he gets behind the wheel of one of these cars here. So this is going to be a guy that's going to be a threat to win tonight, or is going to be, one of the guys to kind of watch here tonight. Runs a 1584 for P12 and then shuts her down. He's going to be a one and done here.
Next up is going to be that 181 machine. It's Jeffrey Kemper. He's from Lebanon, Oregon.
See Jeff at the end of pit road. Kind of makes me wonder if somebody else is on track.
There it is. The 5 of Devin Ross is on track now making his run. Burlington, Washington, Rudine SRC, Rudine Racing, Premier Door, All In Construction, Devo Transportation.
And Donovan clocks in and 10th at a 1582 here, and good run for him. He's another one that we probably need to keep our eye on here tonight.
Now it's going to be the 181 of Jeffrey Kemper from Lebanon, Oregon. The Coast to Coast Racing League going coast to coast. One of our West Coasters.
Yeah, and he's got a little momentum in his corner. Picked up a limited 360 win last week at Port Royal, the Speed Palace there. So got a little momentum here. Let's see what he can do here under his qualifying times. First lap's a 16:02 is good enough for 18th position here. And the track is starting to definitely wear in a little bit. So these late qualifiers really are going to have their hands full to see if they can't get up there further up the running order. Second lap's a 16:05 and is going to keep him P18.
So 19 down. That leads us to the 218. It's Kurt Schatzer from Edders, Pennsylvania. Hammerdown Racing, Dirt Track Bank, Got Your Six Racing Network, and Schatzer Roofing.
Yeah, Kurt's last season's late model champion here, so this is a guy that knows how to get it done. He's been running a little bit more of these sprint cars and doing a good job, might I say here. So this is a guy that can wheel about anything, and I can't wait to see what kind of laps he turns in. First one there, he's going to come in P19 with a 16.
Next up is going to be the 28 machine of Jeff Sharp. He's from East Greenbush, New York. SGM Racing, AccuForce Sim Experience.
It adapts really well. He's done really well here since being in the league, especially on Thursday night with the big block and the late model whatnot. So he's see what he can get for his first lap here. He comes down the backstretch here. He's really got that car hung out as he comes out of the corners. It looks really solid here off the turn 4 here. Let's see what his lap time is. And I'm not showing that he clocked either lap.
Mine is not showing that either, so obviously we're getting the same stats fed to us.
How bizarre. Huh. Well, that's a new one, iRacing. Color me surprised. I don't even have an explanation. You know, in the real world, I'd say, well, his transponder's not working. He needs to pull over to the track crew and have them put another transponder, switch it out, and go back out. But we're not in the real world, so I'm not really sure what to do with that.
And it looks like the 122 of Brian Dickens is out. His transponder is working. He's from Scotland Neck, North Carolina. Hammerdown Racing, Dirt Track Bank, Got Your Six Racing Network, Tri-County Cartway. His first time was a 15.86. I'm sorry, his second time was a 15.86. The best of the two. That's 15 fastest. Next up is the 05 of Isaac Salas. He's from Minot, North Dakota. Or I'm sorry, Minot, North Dakota. I've been saying that wrong my entire life, John. Venom Racing, Magnum Race Design Super Dirt Car Series.
They say you don't want to anger Donnie Schatz. You better get that one right. But Isaac here is last season's 358 modified champion, and he's I believe leading the points over there in those cars, and may actually also be leading it in the big blocks this year too. A very stout driver there, and his first lap is good enough for 19th with a 1594. As he comes through 3 and 4 here, we'll see if he can improve upon that any. And he does. Gets him up to 16th with a 1589.
So 22 cars plus Jeff Sharp have made time. Next up is the 225 of Chris Forsyth. He's from Texas BBR Racing Team.
And Chris, I believe, has a couple of Raiders victories to his credit here in C2C. So another guy that knows his way around a sprint car and knows how to get it done here. We'll see what kind of lap time he logs in here as we are starting to get to the bottom half of the field here. And, man, that track, I'm seeing these guys are definitely at a disadvantage track state-wise, but he pulls in a great lap. Good enough for 8th on his first lap with a 15.75. We have not seen a lap time that quick in quite a while. He's running almost a slider line here. Second lap, he falls off a bit, so he'll go with that first lap. That'll leave him P8 with that 15.75.
Great time for Chris. First one in a while that's jumped up there into the top 10, John.
Yeah, found something new, and he was able to capitalize on it and use that slider line.
So out on the track is the 233. It's Jared Culbertson from New Berlin, Illinois, BBR. Jared Culbertson Transport and American Rental. Looking to clock in his first time of qualifying, and it will come in at a 15.85, good enough for 16th fastest.
Yeah, and keep in mind, 8th was just on the track with a 75, so 15.75. So this field is really, really close, and you can see how close it is from being in a good spot. In his next one, he does improve, and he gets a top 10 with a 15.80.
Some guys finding some speed in this towards the back end of qualifying here. Next up's the 83 of Brandon Dittmer. He's from Pleasant Hill, Iowa, so a home race for him here at Knoxville. And he will come around and take his first lap of the night.
Yeah, and he got really out of shape as he came out of turn 4. This is going to really hurt his first lap most likely here. His car looks really, really loose. So, and see, he bobbles again, goes way up the track here. So he's got to regroup here and hit the second lap. First lap is good enough for 22nd. It's a 15.95, which tells me that even with those troubles, he's got some pace. He's just got to keep that car under him. Up over the berm there. Good job not getting any further out of shape than that. The second lap, it's also 15.95 it looks like, so he is going to be starting, he's going to clock in the 22nd spot.
So now 25 guys with lap on the track. See Garrett Pepiat. Did I say that correct, John?
Yes, you did.
And that 47, he gets lined up next. And out on the track is the 06 machine of Derek Gray. Derek's from Indiana, Black Bullet Racing.
Yeah, he gets a good run coming out of turn 4 here, so he's going to have a good run down into turn 1 here for the second lap. First lap is going to get him 23rd with a 15.98. Oh, he gets that back end out. That's going to cost him some time down the backstretch. Second lap improves. Look at that. P8. Even with that wiggle, 15.72. He's going to kick himself over that. He left something on the table there, but what a great lap this late in the race for Derek Gray.
So now it's going to be the 47 of Garrett Pepiat. He comes to us from Jonesville, Michigan. Creed Sim Racing. Majulus C Speed Shop Velocity Race Design Ford Entertainment Group. Making his way to Knoxville from the Great Lakes State, John.
Yep, he's not too far from Butler Motor Speedway. I know that's his home track. I know that he goes out and hangs out there a whole lot. This is a guy we definitely got to keep our eye on here tonight. We'll see what kind of lap times he turns in here for Q. I fully expect he's going to be towards the front.
Butler Speedway, one-time home to the dealer's choice up there in Michigan.
Absolutely, and I think he's got a transponder issue too. That first lap didn't clock. Second one is a 15.79 is going to come in P10.
So a great second lap for him, sets him up nicely. Now it's the number 72 of Zachary Chapman. Gambler Motorsports from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Coolray Heating, Cooling, Brightbox Electrical, Curaleaf Medical Dispensaries. I know this is one of your teammates, John.
Yeah, it's good to see Zach out here and pulling for him a little bit here to see what he can do with that number 72 car. Zach is a former street stock champion here in C2C, and his first one will get him P21 with a 1586. He's coming around here to get the second lap in and see if he can improve, and he does. He comes in P8. Zach, nice lap, buddy. There you go. 1571 is going to bring him in 8th.
Have you received any update on the Jeff Sharp time, John?
I have not. Maybe they'll let him come back out and take another swing at it. I'm at a loss unless I missed it and he maybe tapped the wall or something coming out of the corner and had him disallowed.
Now out on the tracks, the 55 of Robert Satterfield from Spartanburg, South Carolina. Phantom Motorsports Velocity Power Outdoors.
Yeah, a few seasons ago we had an Elite Series, which had a pretty high bar to get into, and Robert was one of the guys that was in that league. I think he might have even picked up a win. So it's nice to see him back here for one of our charity races. This is a guy, first lap is P26, but I think I'll be surprised if he doesn't step that up. And he does. He pulls it up to a 1588, but that's going to be good for a 22nd spot here. So he's got his work cut out for him. He's going to have a good heat and a good feature to make it into the final for tonight. Or for Thursday, sorry.
Next up on the track is the 171 of Josh Gerlach.
This is a hometown race for Josh. I actually went to Knoxville, right to the Knoxville 360 Nationals last year. Met Josh and his family out there, and what a great family. And he's a former midget champion, I think, for us too. And Josh can get her done. So let's see what Josh can do here in his first lap. Pulls in a 30th there with a 1604. He's got to step it up a little bit here and see what he can pull in for a second. But yeah, his whole family, I don't know if his grandfather or his dad, but his track announcer, I think, here or flagman or something out here. And definitely a big-time home race for him. And his second lap is a 16-16. Got to keep him in position P30.
So 4 drivers to go. Well, 5, including Jeff Sharp. So 31 down, 5 to go. You're watching qualifying night number 2 at Knoxville Raceway for the Mike Westbrook Knoxville Nationals presented by Steve King Foundation. And out on the track is the number 2 of Matthew Croak.
Croaky. Yep.
Oh,
at least that's what I say anyway.
I'll go with Matthew Croaky from Grand Forks, North Dakota. Phantom Motorsports, Power Outdoors, Velocity Race Design, EPI setups. First time's a 15.73, good enough for P10.
And Matt turns in a good lap here, and he used to be a regular here in C2C and is taking some seasons off or whatever, but it's good to see him back with us, and it turns in a fantastic lap here for 10th here for the 676.
So another fast time here towards the end of qualifying. Now out on the track is the number 36 of Kyle Moonen.
Yeah, he'll be number 24 on his car. That's the number he usually goes by. I don't know if somebody signed in as a 36 or if they signed in before him or as a 24, but Kyle is a many times Renegade champion, feature winner. He is one of the top 4 or 5 drivers we do have here on a weekly basis. First lap has got him 32nd, and he's going to shut her down almost immediately. Not happy, I'm sure, with that. And, well, he'll go to work here in the heat and in the feature, I'm sure.
So that will leave 3 cars remaining.
Yeah, and I think Nate or Kevin Fry, I believe, is going to be an admin. So I don't know if Fry will take a lap. He raced last night with us. So I think it'll be down to Aldrich and then see why Sharp didn't get one.
So as we wait for anyone else left to make a
And
turn.
it's possible. They advance the session. So Nate is actually also adminning, helping admin tonight. So we got a couple guys up there. So that's good.
So it's going to be Randy Shreves taking the top spot. That's 200 points awarded to him. Everyone beyond that will get 2 less than that. And that brings an end to our ABR setup shop qualifying. And that leads us to heat race number 1, John. And you have our starting lineup.
I don't. I think I have just suffered a packet loss here, Travis.
All right, I've got our starting lineup then.
Yeah, I'll be back in 1 second. I'm going to have to deal with this here real quick. So technical difficulties on my side. Take her away.
So we've got, starting on the front row, we got Josh Gerlich and the number 302 of Josh Reiner. Second row, Kurt Schatzer next to Donovan Ross. Row number 3, Chris Forsyth next to Josh Whiteman. And rounding out the field, our fastest qualifier, Randy Shreves. So they are lined up. Thank you for tuning in to the Coast to Coast Racing League for the Mike Westbrook Memorial Knoxville Nationals qualifying night number 2. As mentioned, the heat races, 100 points are awarded for the heat race winner. Points go down by 3 for each position. Top 4 finishers will transfer to the A main. The rest will go through the B and C mains tonight. And as you can tell with Randy Shreve starting 8th, our heats are inverted by 8 tonight. So we'll see if Randy's able to race his way up to the front. As the field heads out onto the track. So 8 laps as Josh and John will lead us to green. As mentioned, John and myself will be back on the call tomorrow. Thursday night's A main event, you will have Marty back on the call. So an exciting week of racing here as the summer starts to wind down for 2022. The iRacing Pace Truck will dive into pit road presented by the Steve King Foundation. And heat race number 1 presented by Langton Mechanical will go green at Knoxville. Clean start going into turn 1 as Josh Gerlach is going to shoot to the front. Rayner is second. Donovan Ross falls into line in third as they race down the backstretch. Ross will look to the inside of Rayner in 3 and 4. He'll lose some position as Whiteman in the 24 advances up to third and now tries to make a move on second place. Big gaggle of cars through 1 and 2 as they try to race towards the front, including that 218 of Kurt Schatzer. As they make their way through 3 and 4, Whiteman's able to take over second. There's Kurt Schatzer now up to third as they go into 1 and 2. 6 laps to go here at Knoxville. Randy Shreves now moving up as he takes over 4. And out front, it's Josh Gerlach holding on with Whiteman and Schatzer behind him, trying to chase him down with 5 laps to go. Josh continues to lead. The front three have broken away. Randy Shreves has raced up into that fourth and final transfer spot, but he has Forsyth and Ross all over the back of him down the backstretch. Shreves will hold on to fourth with 3 laps to go. The front three remain the same. We watch the battle for the fourth and final transfer spot as Forsyth continues to try to find a way to get past Shreves. Unable to do so. Only 2 laps to go. Up towards the front. Whiteman's trying to make a move. Gets momentum coming off of turn 2. He'll move to the inside of Josh and make the pass going into turn 3. He'll slide up. That opens the door to the inside for the 171. And they're side by side at the white flag. Whiteman has the advantage on the outside as they move down the backstretch. Kurt Schatzer now moves up into second. Coming through 3 and 4. Heat race number 1 is going to go to the 24 of Joshua Whiteman. Great race there. The top 4, Whiteman, Schatzer, Gerlich, and Shreves will advance to our main event tonight. That takes us to heat race number 2 presented by Magnum Race Designs. Our starting lineup will be Kyle Moonen on the front row next to Dan McLaren. Second row, Brian Dickens next to Robert Evertson. Row number 3, Garrett Pepier next to Joe Canellis. And then rounding out the field in 7th is going to be Travis Snyder. So a great heat race to get us underway here tonight in qualifying night number 2. As they make their way out onto the field, or out onto the track. McLaren in that 88, Moonen in the 36, I'm sorry, the 24 car. As it is a great start to qualifying night number 2 here at Knoxville Raceway in Knoxville, Iowa. So there'll be 5 heat races tonight. Kicking them off in great fashion there. Josh Whiteman will pick up the points for heat race number 1 victory. That'll give him 100 points as we get going here in heat race number 2 presented by Magnum Race Designs. iRacing Pace Truck presented by Steve King Foundation dives into the infield. It's going to be Moonen and McLaren leading us to green in heat race number 2, and we are underway at Knoxville. Moonen on that inside line slides up to the outside. 88 has great momentum down the backstretch right up to the tail of Moonen going into 3. They continue to battle. Contact coming off of 2. That's going to drop Robert Evertson to the rear as his wing will come off. 7 laps to go. Looks like he's going to have to race through to the A main tonight. Out front it's Moonen, but Garrett Pepier moves to the inside, and he is moving quickly. It only took him 2 laps to move up from a 5th place starting spot and now battle for the lead going into 3 and 4. He's on the inside, Moonen on his outside. Garrett will make the pass with 5 laps to go. Moonen will fall in line behind him. Moving into 3rd's Joe Canellis as he battles McLaren for 3rd. And Brian Dickens tries to get into that 4th and final transfer spot. Canellis and McLaren fitting under a blanket through 1 and 2. They continue their battle down the backstretch. That opens the door for Dickens. as he's trying to transfer straight through from the heat race. 3 laps to go. It's still Pepier out front with Moonen in second. As McLaren continues to hold off Canellis. As Canellis will move to the inside, he'll be able to get up alongside the 88 this time. Also opens the door for the 122 of Dickens through 1 and 2. McLaren gets momentum. He's able to clear Dickens. Now tries to make a move on Canellis through 3 and 4 as the white flag is out. Watching the 122 currently in 5th, trying to get up into that 4th and final transfer spot. It's Garrett Pepier out front over Moonen. He will claim the victory. That transfer spot looks like it will go to the 88 of McLaren at the line. Your final results from Magnum Race Designs Heat Race number 2, Garrett Pepier, Kyle Moonen, Joe Canellis, and Dan McLaren will transfer through. The rest will have to race through to make it to the A main tonight. That brings up Heat Race number 3, presented by 21 Designs. Your starting lineup for Heat Race number 3, Mark Gilbert, Brandon Dittmer on row number 1, Robert Satterfield and Nick King row number 2, Adam Ross, Zachary Chapman, row 3, and Jeff Barker will round out the field for Heat Race number 3.
Travis, I think I'm back.
We can hear you, John.
I'm just going to blame all that on, I'm here in St. Louis, and I don't know if anybody out there has watched the national news, but the whole city went on a canoe trip this morning, and we got about 12 inches of rain, and I'm just going to say everything's just waterlogged here. That's what I'm going to blame it on.
Well, we're glad to have you back. We've had 2 great heat races to kick us off, John.
Not surprising considering the field here that we've had tonight and some of the guys that are in here. So, yeah, not a surprise at all.
The first one was a battle to the finish with Josh Whiteman claiming victory in heat race number 1. And it was Pepier in heat race number 2 claiming victory. But a great battle for a top 4 transfer spot.
Yeah, with these heat races fully inverted here, you got the fast guys in the back. I'm sure it's provided some excitement here.
We've seen guys move up towards the front quickly as heat race number 3 will go green at Knoxville. Great start for Dittmer on that outside line. Gilbert tries to battle back. The 55 of Satterfield looks to the inside. Looks like Jeff Barker has troubles through 1 and 2.
Yeah, looked like he and Connor Ross got together, and he got the short end of the stick big time here. That's going to really hurt his chances, but he's got a really nice qualifying time to fall back on here. So he's going to have to really go to work here in the feature.
Dittmer's ran out to about a 9/10 of a second lead. Second, you've got King. Third, Satterfield. And fourth in that final transfer spot is Mark Gilbert. As he's trying to hold off Zachary Chapman, Zachary will make a move down the backstretch into turn 3. He'll slide up and move into that 4th and final transfer spot with now 5 laps to go.
Yeah, nice move there by Zach to put himself into the main event here tonight. We'll see if he can hang on here. But the real battle up there looks for second place here. Like we said, those points are on the line here, so these positions are so valuable here in the heat. Usually we're kind of like, hey, they're in the show, you know, not take any big chances here. But with these points, you got to go for it. Every spot has to be contested on every lap.
So King continues to hold off Satterfield for second. 3 laps to go now here at Knoxville. 55 of Satterfield continues to look for a way around King, just unable to make a move at this point. He'll dive to the inside in turn 3, but it should be King with momentum off of 4.
Yeah, Satterfield looks like he's a little bit better over in 3 and 4 or 1 and 2 than King here, but King's just got the preferred line.
So Dittmer's now got a 3-second lead on his final lap around Knoxville. He is in the clear. The battle for second continues as King and Satterfield continue to battle. Behind them, Zachary Chapman's got a good lead over Ross for the fourth final transfer spot. It's going to be Dittmer with the win at the line for second. King will hold on over Satterfield and Chapman.
Yeah, and the tough break there's got to be Jeff Barker. He had a great qualifying run and just some contact there, and yeah, he's going to have his work cut out for him here tonight.
John, we move on to heat race number 4 presented by Maurer Farm Management. And I believe you have our starting lineup.
I do. It's going to be the number 28 of Jeff Sharp. Next to him will be the Bassman, the 747 of Roger Craig. Next to him is going to be Isaac next row is going to be Isaac Salas. Next to him will be the Ironman, Greg Boydell, to his outside in that 014. Starting fifth on the field here is going to be Jared Culbertson. Next to him will be Derek Gray. And out back, the fastest guy in this heat will be Jason Ferguson.
So Jeff's time didn't count in qualifying, so he'll get to start P1 in this heat race.
But he lost those points.
Good point.
Yes, that I would be. And like I said, I don't know if he might have tapped the wall somewhere. If he did, then then that's all fair. But man, if he did, I don't even have an explanation there on that front.
So he's got Roger Craig to his outside in row number 1 as they'll make another lap around. When you're going through an event like this, John, with points at hand, what kind of changes, if you're even racing back in the pack, but there's those points out there, how do you race different than you maybe would on a normal night?
You got to go. You can't waste time to try to work a guy over for too long because the laps go by fast. You've got to just get around guys as quickly as you can. I'm not saying you just outright move them, but if you're faster, you got to get on with it. You got to find a way around. You got to make the passes, and you got to do it rapidly. So you have to be patiently aggressive. So that's the best way I can describe it.
You sound like Darrell Waltrip in the booth now, John. Making up words.
We're done. I'm done. I'm out. See ya.
As John
regroups,
Sharp and Craig will lead us to green. The 5 of Salas looks to the inside. By the time they enter turn 1, he'll move to that outside line. But Roger Craig battles back coming out of 2.
Yeah, Roger's got a nice spot here, settled in at third here. No, we got one out of shape. It looked like Greg Boydell towards the back. Now the top 4, that's going to give them a little bit of room to operate here.
So the battle for the lead is Salas down the backstretch, moves to the outside of Sharp. He'll take the lead going into 3 and 4. Craig and Culbertson round out your top 4. They've broke away from the rest of the field as the top 4 will automatically transfer on. And this is our second straight heat, John, where our fastest qualifier in the heat at the back has had issues.
Yeah, and it's just a gut punch. And, man, you really, really have to refocus and kind of pin your ears back and go to work in the consi here and try to get your way back up into that feature. The nice thing is when that kind of thing happens, you got a fast car. You've got the ability to make it go fast. You just got to put it together and get it done.
So it's Salas out front, watching Culbertson try to get to the inside of Roger Craig. That's for third position. Back in 5th is Jason Ferguson as he tries to chase down a transfer spot. And out front, Isaac Salas has checked out on the field. Over Sharp, over Craig, over Culbertson.
Yeah, Salas is kind of in a league of his own here, and he's doing something that I found last night in my heat, getting all 4 tires up into that fluff up there. I was able to do that last night, and holy cow, it was like being on a slot track, man. I just took off. So, he must have been watching last night because I think I saw a couple other guys do it and with the same success.
So as he leads down the field, Craig, Sharp, and Culbertson continue to battle in the transfer positions. Coming out of 4, it's going to be Isaac Salas, your winner of heat race number 3, followed by Sharp, Craig, and Culbertson transferring on to the A main.
How about that for the Bass Man? He's going to make the show. I'm sure he's probably pretty happy right now.
That will bring us to heat race number 5, presented by Lynn's Huggables. And John, you've got our starting lineup.
Yeah, here we go for heat race number 5. On the pole is going to be the 181 of Jeff Kemper. Next to him is going to be the 911 of Jason Sams. Next to the next row is going to be the 010 of Ross Carena, and next to him is going to be Smoking Joe Halter there in the number 22. Starting in the third and final row here, it's going to be Matthew Croakey in his number 2 ride, and next to him will be Tyler DeZube, who will be the quick qualifier for this one here, and hopefully he has a little better luck than the last couple of guys that were the quick guys in those heat races here. So 6 guys, 4 transfer, and like I said, you really want to be in these transfer because with 5 heat races, that's going to put 20 already locked into the feature, which means that B main only 4 are gonna go. So that's not a whole lot of room for error in that B.
So they will head out onto the track. It's going to be Jeffrey Kemper, Jason Sams leading us to green as they follow the iRacing Pace Truck presented by Steve King Foundation. A reminder, each winner of the heat races gets 100 points, goes down by 3 for each position. After them, the top 4 transfer to that A main. Great field tonight for this week's Knoxville Nationals.
Yeah, outstanding field. And real quick, if you're out there watching and you don't have iRacing or whatever, you're just watching, you can donate to the Steve King Foundation. Just go to c2crl.com and make a donation. Every little bit helps, and you never know, it could help one of your local track guys that may have some unfortunate circumstances befall them.
The iRacing Pace Truck dives into the infield, presented by the Steve King Foundation. Coming to the line, it's Kemper and Sams leading us to green in heat race number 5 at Knoxville. The 10 of Carenta moves to the inside quickly as he'll make a battle for the lead down the backstretch. They're 3 wide going into 3.
Yeah, Carenta slides up to get up to that top side. That is definitely the faster line right now. He now has control of the first heat, and we got a good battle, though, for third with Kemper and Croakey.
Croakey on the inside in that 2 machine. 2 is outside the 181 of Kemper. They're both in transfer spots with Joe Halter and DeZube behind them looking to move on to a transfer spot as well.
Yeah, remember, DeZube is the guy that set the quick time out of these guys. And he is struggling. He has not made that ground up. He got a little out of shape out of 2. Is sitting there in P6 here, but the battle continues to be for that third spot here. But now, looks like Croakey's going to fall in the line here and try to figure out another line of attack there on Kemper.
2 through 6 all in a single file line down the backstretch until Croakey makes a move. He'll slide up into the 911. They'll make contact. That's going to be Sams in turns 3 and 4. Croakey will move on. As Croakey now runs second, Kemper back to third. Joe Halter's in that 4th and final spot.
That was a really poor slide job there put on by Croakey, and I'm sure if he goes back, hopefully he'll go back, look at that, and want that one back. But yeah, that wasn't even close to being cleared there. But he is going to benefit. He's going to take over second here, and we got contact with Halter, and that's for the final transfer spot. That's going to put DeZube up on his lid.
And Halter has damage as well. His car not running well. He might just be able to limp around for that 4th and final transfer spot as it's Carenta out front.
Yeah, he can't even turn the car through the corner here. Wow.
White flag is out. It's Carenta out front. Great run by Croakey. Tons of momentum down the backstretch. Coming out of 2. They're side by side going into 3. Croakey will slide up, hit the wall in 3 and 4. He gets out of shape, and that's going to give it to Carenta, heat race number 5.
At least he was clear that time, but couldn't hang on to it before it got that wall. What a great finish there.
So that will lead us on to B main presented by Gambler Motorsports. John, you want to give us our starting lineup for our B main event?
Yeah, and just real quick here, we're going to start 14 and only take 4, so a lot of guys out of this are going to have to come back and run the hard knocks and then go to the alphabet soup on Thursday. So here we go with the lineup. Starting on the pole with the 225 is going to be Chris Forsyth. Next to him in the 122 is going to be Brian Dickens. Starting in the second row is going to be the 35 of Connor Ross, and next to him will be the 129 of Jason Ferguson. Tyler DeZube, who we saw had some trouble right there in that last heat race, is going to be starting in P5, and his outside will be the number 5 of Donovan Ross. Starting 7th will be Travis Schneider. Next to him is going to be Mark Gilbert. Derek Gray will be next in line, and next to him will be Jason Sams. Starting 11th is going to be John Rayner. Next to him will be Bob Evertson. And starting out back, it's going to be Jeff Barker and Greg Boydell. And we saw Barker also have some big problems in the heat race, and man, it's really put him behind the 8 ball here. He's got a long way to get to that 4th spot.
So they will move on out. Looking at this field, John, with the issues some of our fast qualifiers had, we have some fast cars in this B main, and not are they only in this B main, they're also starting at the rear of this B main because of issues in their heat races.
Absolutely, and also to get to that 4th, they are going to have to be no passively or patiently aggressive here. They're going to have to be aggressive. They're going to have to step on it and go. And if they see an opening, they just got to go for it and pray it doesn't close. I mean, that's got to be the mindset here. Take no prisoners, and you don't want to drive dirty, but you can't hesitate here.
So they will make their way through turns 3 and 4. It's going to be Forsyth and Dickens leading us to green here in our B main event tonight on qualifying night number 2. And we are underway. As you see, the 35 of Ross try to stick his nose up in there and get into a battle for the lead. And they're side by side down the backstretch. It's going to be Forsyth making his way around to lead lap number 1.
Contact in the back with John Rader and Greg Boydell. But the guy on the move is Jeff Barker. Started on that back row, has already picked up 3 or 4 spots in just a lap there. And we got more wrecks down the back straightaway there. Bob Evertson looks like he's into the fence in turn 3.
As you mentioned, the 513 of Jeff Barker continues to move up. He's making a move on Gray for 7th, currently running in 8th. As Ross and DeZube get contact in front of him, they'll move to the side as more of our fast qualifiers having issues in the B main.
Well, it goes back to being aggressive. It's got to be all take here. There's no give and take, a little patient. All right, I'll give you a little room. It's all got to be take here. This is go or go home time. And you, like I said, you don't want to leave anything to chance for those last chance qualifiers or the other races here. So, yeah, these guys are going to be aggressive.
Forsyth continues to lead Dickens and Ross for that 4th transfer spot's the 129 of Ferguson. He's got about a half a second lead over Gray, who's currently running in 5th. And Jeff Barker's up to 6th, still trying to chase down a top 4 transfer spot.
Yeah, he is, and Jeff's doing a heck of a battle, and I'm sure somewhere in his mind he's like, man, I could have done this in the heat race if I wouldn't have gotten to run into. So, frustrating, but yeah, when you know you got a car like that, it eases the pain a little bit.
And he's trying to use that inside line. We've seen that high side be the preferred line through the heat races. He continues to stick with that inside line, trying to move up through the field.
Yeah, but the guy in front of him is using the high and the low, and now Jeff's going to move up the track a little bit. When you got a guy, changing lanes like that, it makes it real difficult on you where you need to be because you just don't know where he's going to go, and you don't want him to come down, and next thing you both are wrecked.
So now 2 laps to go here in our B main presented by Gambler Motorsports. It's Chris Forsyth out front. He's got Brian Dickens behind him, Adam Ross, and in that 4th and final transfer spot, Jason Ferguson. As Ferguson gets passed by Gray through 3 and 4, coming out of 4 is going to be... And Barker will move to his inside. It's Forsyth out front looking to claim victory. as Gray looks to hold on to that fourth and final transfer. And it will be Forsyth with the win. And for fourth and final transfer spot will be Derek Gray.
Wow, that was a bit eventful.
It's interesting, some of the fast cars that continue to have issues, Greg Boydell ends up 10th, Rayner ends up 11th in that B main.
But some big names went home. Tyler DeZube, who, where did he qualify? I think he was towards the top of the qualifying. Yeah, he qualified in the top 5. Jeff Barker in qualifying was 3rd in qualifying. So you had you had some really fast guys not make this race here. So they'll have to regroup and go come back and run the Hard Knocks race. And if that doesn't work out, they've still got one more chance to get in there through the last chance qualifiers.
So with that, we have warm-ups presented by Flatline Racing Bodies. We're going to take a quick break, John. We're going to let you hear about Mike Westbrook, the memorial and the guy we are honoring for this year's Knoxville Nationals presented by Steve King Foundation. On the flip side, we will be back with our A main event.
Welcome to the 3rd annual Mike Westbrook Knoxville Nationals for the Steve King Foundation. In honor of Mike, we've converted the iRacing pace truck to honor Mike and his infamous blue pickup truck. We would like to thank the many generous sponsors who have made this great event possible. Thank you.
And welcome back. It is the Mike Westbrook Memorial Knoxville Nationals presented by the Steve King Foundation. Warm-ups are complete and the gridding has begun for tonight's A main event, qualifying night number 2. As always, thank you for joining us. My name's Travis Piercefield. I'm joined by John Hine as usual. And John's going to walk us through our starting grid for tonight's A main.
Yeah, here we go. This is going to be it for tonight. Starting on the pole is going to be the number 43 of Nick King. Remember, the top 8 here are inverted, so if this lineup looks a little strange, it's supposed to here. But Nick King will be on the pole in the 43, and next to him in the number 36, but his car will say 24, is going to be Kyle Moonen. Next row, inside is going to be Kurt Chester in his 218 machine. Next to him will be the 010 of Ross Carenta. Isaac Salas and Brandon Dittmer will take up row 3. Row 4 will be Garrett Pepiat and Josh Whiteman. Jeff Sharp and Matthew Croakey will round out your top 10. Starting now 11th be the 171 of the hometown guy. It will be the Josh Gerlach machine there. Next to him will be Joe Canellis. Starting that next row will be Robert Satterfield and Jared Culberson. Next row after those guys will be Jeff Kemper and Randy Shreves. Then they're followed by Dan McLaren and Zach Chapman. The Bassman Roger Craig and Joe Halter will take up the next row. Chris Forsythe and Brian Dickens. Then the next row and the final row of the night out back is going to be the 35 of Adam Ross, or Connor Ross there, and Derek Gray.
So we move on to our A main event here at Knoxville.
And this is some anxious times for these drivers here. You know, you want to make sure you get through these first few laps cleanly. Last night, we had a problem before we even got through turn one. You don't want to be in that situation here, so we'll see how these guys handle this start.
The iRacing Pace Truck presented by Steve King Foundation dives into the infield, as it will be Moonen and King leading us to green. And the A main at Knoxville is underway, 25 laps in this A main event, as it's going to be Moonen in that 24 on the outside making a move with Carenta right behind him. He'll make a move going into 3.
Yeah, and last night, I'm going to tell you, up top was sketchy. The cars bounced around. There's a huge berm right in the center of turn 2. You get your car up on it, it almost wants to turn your car over. Turns 3 and 4, you got the same issue. So watch these guys running the top. They're going to have to be really, really careful and get those cars around the top of the track.
Great battle for 4th between Schatzer, Pepier, and Dittmer. 3 heat winners trying to make their way to the front.
Yeah, now you've got a bunch of guys mixed through the field here, too, that some guys are better on the tacky track like what they would have been on in their heat races, and some guys are better in the slick, which is what they're on now. So those guys are going to have to cycle through and kind of figure out where they're going to run and what kind of pace they're going to have, and that can create some dicey moments early on.
Carenta continues to lead out front. Satterfield now up to 7th after starting 13th. He's moving up through the field. He's to the inside of Pepier with Isaac Salas. Our early difficulties falling out of the top 10 here early.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, the track has changed dramatically from the heat races, so these guys are having to adjust here under race conditions. And man, it is a hornet's nest back around Randy Shreves and those guys. Wow.
Watching the battle for 3rd on back, it's King, Schatzer, Dittmer, and Pepier continue to battle to move up as Carenta continues to lead Moonen. Only 19 laps to go, and the caution will come out. What looks like Jeffrey Kemper.
Yeah, Jeffrey has definitely had some contact with the wall. He's kind of crabbing down the back straightaway.
Our Malcolm Mills mill writing replay. Kemper looks like he was just loose down the front stretch and wasn't able to correct it by the time he got to turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, and he got up into 1 and 2, and what I was telling you about the bumps up there, he hit those bumps, and that upset that car, and into the wall he went. That's why I ran the entirety of the race last night, and I'm not going to lie, I held my breath about every time, every lap when I was in those corners. The cars were biking all over the place, and I didn't have enough sense to go run anywhere else on the track, but yeah, these guys are going to deal with that here tonight, and unfortunately for Jeff Kemper, he's the first victim of that bumpy surface up top there. A good start to the race, a nice little 7-lap green flag run here, and you know, looking through here, and then Satterfield, one of our big movers, has gotten 6 spots already. Dan McLaren is up into the top 10. He's picked up 7 spots, so we've had some guys move, some big movers through the field already early on.
Randy Shreves is up 4. Connor Ross up 8. He's now up to 15th after starting towards the rear. And Carenta made fast work. Started 4th, but he was making a move for the lead by the time they got out of turn 2.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Ross, like I said, has picked up some Renegades wins. He's what I would deem one of our elite drivers here in this league in these cars. So, yeah, we're going to have a good battle here because both him and Moonen, those guys can get it done in these cars. And I'm sure a few will join them before we get there. Keep your eye on Satterfield back there and Pepiot, too.
So they will make their way through, and we are back to green at Knoxville. It's Carenta Moonen up front. Great start by Carenta as we go back to green with 18 laps to go. He and Moonen are able to break away from the rest of the field as King continues to try to battle with Schatzer and Dittmer for third.
And Pepiot stuffed it in the fence, got up there in that rough stuff, and I think he's probably had some damage to his car as we got a caution out. For Garrett, too.
So Garrett got high into that wall in 3 and 4 as they battled to his inside. Got into Strokey and then got into Ross on the front stretch. Or I'm sorry, Salas on the front stretch.
Yeah, he was just kind of trying to feel his car out and taking up a lot of track doing so. And you got to do that. And just caught his guys out behind him out. And this might actually be a break for him because he was going to lose a lot of ground to the field. And he's going to be able to come in and probably get a fast repair and be good for the wear and see what kind of run he can make through the field.
As it's going to be Salas and Pepiot moving to the rear. They're back there now with Jeff Kemper. Connor Ross now up to 12th. $16 laps to go. With 200 points on the line for tonight's winner. As the iRacing Pace Truck presented by Steve King Foundation continues to pace the field around Knoxville here. Reminder, we'll be back on the call tomorrow. Tomorrow's broadcast begins at 7 p.m. Eastern. Full night of racing kicks off with the veterans only race. And as long as John's not in a boat somewhere, he will be on the call with us.
Yeah, we are getting more rain as we speak, and we needed some rain. We've been in a drought condition, but yeah, 12 inches in a matter of about 8 hours was a heck of a lot of rain today.
When you texted us that, all I could think of was that Peevely is probably underwater right now.
Yes, Peevely is underwater right now, absolutely.
Carenta leads us back to green. Great restart by him with 16 laps to go. Moonen right behind him. Now Schatzer up to third. He tries to hold off Dittmer and King as they all get single file down the backstretch for the top 7. Carenta continues to lead as the yellow will come out again. Looks like it's going to be for Isaac Salas. We'll bring up our Malcolm Mills writing replay. Looks like him and the 06 got together down the backstretch, John.
Yeah, it looks like Isaac, excuse me, Isaac was on the bottom and drives right up the track, and I guess he probably didn't know the 06 was out there, and two made contact there, and Isaac is taking it to the trailer now and is going to call it a night, and he's going to have to come back and give her a shot tomorrow in the Hard Knocks race, see if he can get in that way. If not, then he's got one more shot and can get in Thursday, or he can. We do have a auction going off for I think the 26th spot. You can go in and make a donation and get yourself in and still race.
So still 16 laps to go. We'll have 15 laps to go when we go back to green. Carenta out front, Moonen in second. Schatzer back up to third after dropping back early. Robert Satterfield's up 7 spots, currently running 6. And Dan McLaren continues to move up. He is up to 8th after starting 17th. So he's looking to continue his move towards the front as well.
Yeah, and he restarted there, I think, in 10th, so he picked up 2 spots pretty quick here on that restart. So we'll have to see, keep our eye on him as these laps click off.
So the Steve King Foundation pace truck dives into the infield off of turn 4. Carenta will lead us back to green. Another great restart from him. Stretches it out with he, Moonen, and then the remainder of the field as Schatzer gets heat from Dittmer going into turns 1 and 2. He'll hold on, and now King looks to make a move on Dittmer.
Yeah, great battle there for the first 4, 5, 6 spots here. Everybody kind of looking into each other. The track is real racy here. Guys are staying off of that top line like last night. We were up top, John Short and even Patrick Spangler, who won. We were up top. These guys evidently are a heck of a lot smarter than we are and staying out of the sketchy bumps up there.
So great battle there. That's Gerlich up to 5th now. King, Satterfield behind him. Croakey trying to move up in there as well. Out front, it's Carenta. He's now got Moonen behind him as we've got 12 laps to go. John, after seeing night number 1 compared to night number 2 and how it's driving different, what will you take into Thursday now as the track continues to shape up differently each night?
Just learning to read the track. I'm looking at the track conditions, looking at the dry spots, especially over in 1 and 2. I wanted somebody to go up there and run that middle, maybe that third line up, not quite the high line. I want to see what kind of grip is up there. Just trying to, so if I'm out there, you can kind of see and go, okay, hey, the track was doing this. These guys were fast. But the other part of that, this is an open setup race. So you can gear your car a little bit different to hook the bottom, to get some drive off and everything else. So, yeah, a lot of things here trying to learn and trying to get a read on to figure out what we're going to do on Thursday night.
So Carenta continues to lead. Now 9 laps to go here in qualifying night number 2, A main at Knoxville Raceway. It's the Mike Westbrook Memorial Knoxville Nationals presented by the Steve King Foundation. Carenta continues to lead, but Moonen is hanging tough and picking up some ground as they go through 1 and 2 with a tail end of the field car in front of them.
Traffic already becoming an issue here, and Moonen's up in that lane there that I was kind of hoping to see somebody in there for at least over in 3 and 4 he was. Now he goes right back to the bottom here. You know, when you're a lead lap car and you start to see these guys, we caught traffic last night, and you see them up the track, and the only thing you can do is think, oh gosh, I sure hope they know we're coming. So they hold their line. We tell our drivers here, and Canellis takes the leader out, jumped the cushion. That's what I was just touching on. Heartbreak for Carenta.
We were watching it live as you saw the leaders battling side by side going into 1 and 2. And it was Carenta who got into the...
Boy, that is an unfortunate thing to happen there. And I know Joe, and there was no ill intent or anything like that on his part. And that berm is easy to catch there. And oh man, I'm just gutted for Ross. Though Ross is such a good guy and had a really good car.
It looks like he's going to hold his position. It looks like they're going to give Joe Canellis the cause for the car.
What a break! Well, now if I'm Carenta, I'm going to hope I don't have any damage. These cars got a little more brittle after a recent update here. So, looking at his car, it looks to be good. I don't see anything bent. And now he's stopped. They are giving it back to him, or they're not giving it back to him. That is, I'm just gutted for him. That is such a tough break for Ross.
We had a Thursday night, I think it was a Thursday night Thunder or maybe a Monday night Madness shortly after that update, John, and some of the wrecks had total carnage with just pieces of these sprint cars all
Yeah.
over the place.
Yeah, and since Ross is at the back, maybe he wants to keep that car to see what he can get here. But I would almost be tempted to just get a new car because of that. But he's got 10 laps, or excuse me, he's got 5 laps here to try to get some ground. And remember, this is a points thing, so he's just got to try to get as many cars as he can to gather as many points as he possibly can here.
So it's the 24 of Moonen now in the driver's seat. Kurt Schatzer right behind him. Brandon Dittmer and Josh Gerlich in 4th. Steve King Foundation Pace Truck dives into the infield. We'll have 5 laps to go. Moonen takes us back to green. Great restart by him. Puts some space between he and Schatzer. Schatzer has Dittmer and Gerlich all over each other coming through 1 and 2.
Yeah, those guys are nose to tail. Not a whole lot of room between them here. No room for error. And there's some battles back throughout the pack, too. These guys are down to it. They know that the pay window's open, and they got to go.
Pay window's open and points on the line. Each position will give you some extra points as we make it through the night. 2 points per position. As we continue to watch Dittmer running in 3rd. Satterfield moving up to 5th. Gerlich holds on to 4th, and Croakey in 6th.
A great battle from about 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th there. Like I said, no room for error. If somebody makes the slightest mistake, they're going to lose 2 or 3 spots here.
So they continue to battle. Out front, it's Moonen. He'll make his way around. He will take the white flag this time by Knoxville. Moonen now with almost a second lead over Schatzer. They continue to battle from 3rd on back. Satterfield side by side, 3 wide going into 3.
Here we go, last lap. And yeah, they're going for it coming out of turn 4.
It's Moonen at the line. The battle for 3rd goes to Dittmer. Gerlich and Satterfield will end up 5th. As the fireworks go off at Knoxville, an exciting night for qualifying night number 2. It's going to be Moonen, Schatzer, and Dittmer, your podium finishers, who will join John and I here shortly. And Carenta goes by. Disappointing night for him after he had a very fast car.
Definitely the hard luck award, and he looks like he wants to part of the podium shot here. Yeah, I know how he feels, man. I was actually leading a big block race and had a lap car just had some issues and took me out, and it took me a few days to get over it. And I mean, I know there was no ill will with the driver or anything like that, and completely forgiven. But boy, oh boy, when you've got a car that's winning the race and got it all in control, that's just, and that wasn't even a big race like this. You just see red.
So that will take us to our top 3 finishers. Coming in 3rd, John, and joining you now is the 83 of Brandon Dittmer.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Brandon, how are you tonight, man?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. Well, nice finish on the podium. Hopefully that gets you enough points to get into Wednesday night or Thursday night's finale. Tell me about the track, though. You guys seem to all be on the bottom, a little different than last night. How difficult was it out there?
Extremely difficult. Like you said, it was mostly bottom the entire race. I definitely didn't expect that, especially from the start. But you just had to pick and choose where you wanted to go and who you wanted to pass, when and where. Just had to be careful with your measurements.
Well, yeah, that looked like a those who know throttle control probably did well tonight kind of track. And did the track change though? Because it almost looked, like you said, you're on the bottom almost the whole race, and it looked slick from the get-go. But did the track change at all, or was it just, hey, we're on ice from the get-go, and that's just the way it is tonight?
There's definitely a lot more grip there at the beginning of the race. Like there was a tacky part down towards the inside berm, and about 17 laps in, that was completely gone. So yeah, I could hit that inside really good at that beginning of the race, and the end I just had to hold on and hope for the best.
Well, my friend, what a great performance tonight. Great finish. Now you can sit around and wait for those points to come out, and hopefully you're on the right side of things in the show for Thursday. But who would you like to give a shout out to here for your podium position here tonight?
You guys for the broadcast, Coast to Coast Racing League for setting this whole thing up. I love the Knoxville Nationals. I go there every year, so it's always fun to participate in this stuff. Speed Shop 51 for the setup. They always do a great job. Everybody around me for racing great. They're all great racers, and I love racing with every single one of them. I really feel bad for Ross Carrena though. He had that thing won, and he just got taken out.
Yeah, the hard luck award definitely goes to Ross. Boy, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and you were able to capitalize. And congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's Brandon Dittmer, our third place finisher here tonight, and Travis, we move on to second.
Hey, Kurt, it's Travis up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I hear you, Travis. How you doing?
Good. Our second place finisher, Kurt Schatzer, joins us here after our main event. Kurt, you've kind of fell back early in that race. You had to battle your way back up, coming out with a podium finish. Could you kind of talk about, John mentioned how intense the racing felt tonight compared to his race last night. How did it feel being out there on the track?
Yeah, it was an intense one. I mean, it's got a little something in the atmosphere with the Knoxville national theme going on. Yeah, we were set back a little bit with time trials and had to. I mean, it gave me a pretty good starting spot for the heat race and came through there. And I mean, just let the track come to me in the feature, and it all worked out.
So you lock yourself into the main event. What do you take away from tonight that hopefully translates into victory on Thursday night?
Well, I feel like we got a pretty good car. The crew chief gave me a pretty nice hot rod here.
Well, a great night for you here tonight at Knoxville. Kurt, any sponsors you want to give a shout out to for your finish tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank Dirt Track Bank. They support a lot of dirt track racing around the country. Got Your Six Racing Network, Schatzer Roofing, VMR Wraps, and everybody for putting on the broadcast.
Well, congratulations, Kurt. That's our second place finisher tonight, Kurt Schatzer. Now joining us from Victory Lane here at Knoxville, it's John with Kyle Moonen.
Well, Kyle, my friend, I know that's not the way that you kind of want to get one of those, but I know Ross is a buddy of yours, but you're there to capitalize on that misfortune. And tell me a little bit, first of all, about the track conditions.
It was pretty slick out there. I was kind of hoping the top would have been, a little bit better, but it was definitely rough, which is fine. The setup I had worked pretty well on the bottom. I just kind of wish I would have gotten down there as quick as Ross did.
Well, speaking of Ross, you saw it. You were right behind it when that happened. Tell me what goes through your mind in a situation like that.
Really, you just kind of got to keep going, to be honest with you. When I saw the lap cars and I was right behind them, I was kind of hoping I could use one of them as a pick, or, just have one of them kind of, mess him up enough to get him out of the line he was running, and it work in my favor, which it kind of did in the second one. I just didn't want to see him wreck over it, and get taken out, especially after leading all those laps.
Well, I tell you, like I said, you're there to capitalize, and to win races, you have to put yourself in the position to win them, and you did that here tonight. And what do you expect on Thursday here? I'm pretty sure that you probably acquire enough points to get into the show. Are you going to plan for the bottom? You going to plan for the top? You've up tonight. You guys run the bottom. What are your thoughts going into that final race on Thursday?
I'm really not going to plan on anything. Be somewhat prepared for either one, but I think either way, I'll be all right, and just need to run some laps. Between now and then, really haven't been on much lately, kind of rusty. So definitely tried to run some laps and get comfortable. Both. I was actually surprised how comfortable I felt on the bottom, and didn't mess up too many times down there. So I think we'll see where we start and go from there.
Well, you got a little momentum going into it. Just overall, how do you feel your prospects are? You feel like you got something to get her to victory lane Thursday?
I think so. Especially if I get a decent starting spot. I don't know how many laps it is. Is it 50 laps or 40 laps?
You think I would know that, but I didn't read that far down on the flyer. I wanted to find out what I had to do the first night. So but I think you're probably right. I think it's more laps than normal. So
47 laps, just so you guys know how to get it all
there you go.
Finish on Thursday.
47 laps. There we go.
See, we're just your typical racers. Just give us our helmet and put us in the car, and we'll just drive until we see a checker. Exactly. So, well, Kyle, congratulations on your win tonight. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Just all the guys at Bandy Built, Ross Corona at Velocity Race Designs. Hopefully he can, make it in. I don't know where he ended up finishing there, but hopefully he can make it in through the last chance race or something like that. And you guys for the broadcast and everyone for the league.
Well, thank you again, Kyle, and congratulations again, buddy. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday night, and best of luck to you on Thursday. That is Kyle Moonen, tonight's winner of our prelim here.
All right. Appreciate it, John. Have a good one.
Yep, you too.
So our qualifying night number 2 for the Mike Westbrook Memorial Knoxville Nationals presented by the Steve King Foundation comes to an end. An exciting night of action, John. You are going to have your hands full with some of these guys transferring on to Thursday night. But before we move on to Thursday night, we will have tomorrow night where you can join John and I. Starts off right here on the Coast to Coast Racing League Network at 7 p.m. Eastern, our veterans only race. At 8 o'clock, we'll have our pole shuffle, which will consist of 4 races, 4 cars, and 4 laps. And then we'll end the night at around 9 p.m. with our Hard Knocks event. Top 4 finishers from the Hard Knocks A-Main will earn starting spots in Thursday's main event. And then on Thursday night, the Knoxville Nationals Finals will be here, presented by Langton Mechanical. Marty will be on the call here on the Coast to Coast Racing League Network. John, we're going to finish up by looking at this finishing order from tonight's A-Main event. What's your takeaway as we leave Knoxville tonight?
My takeaway is when I thought I knew kind of how things were going to go, these guys did something completely different. So we're going to follow the races tomorrow, see what the track does, and continue to study and try to come up with a game plan on Thursday. And I'm sure everybody else is doing it. So far, we've got a lot of really good drivers that have looks to be maybe transferring in. We'll see the numbers a little bit later to get the official results. And that Thursday night finale, it's going to be something else.
Well, it was a great night of racing from Knoxville Raceway. As always, thanks for tuning in tonight. I am Travis Piercefield. My partner, John Hine, appreciate you tuning in. We will see you tomorrow night right here from Knoxville. We will see you at a racetrack soon. Good night, race fans.
Welcome to the 3rd annual Mike Westbrook Knoxville Nationals for the Steve King Foundation.
In honor of Mike, we've converted the iRacing pace truck to honor Mike and his infamous blue pickup truck. We would like to thank the many generous sponsors who have made this great event possible. Thank you.
This copyrighted broadcast of Extreme E-Speed TV Network is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience. Any retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without express written consent of the Extreme E-Speed TV Network is strictly prohibited. We hope you've enjoyed this broadcast.